Hey everybody, it's your boy Pee Wee back with another video. Now today we have an interesting one, in my opinion at least. It's called The 30 Years Have Passed Since the Prologue. Essentially this comic is about our main character here, as you saw. This is what he looks like um by the end of the first chapter, because the first chapter is just a lot of like prologue background type of stuff. Our main character, he basically transmigrates into a new world. In his normal life on Earth, though, he spent an immense amount of time, basically reading every book, web novel, webtoon, game. Learning every single detail, leaving a bunch of reviews. Basically, just being able to memorize every aspect of any like book, game, webtoon, basically anything, in hopes of being reincarnated. And when he reincarnates, as he believed that he would eventually reincarnate, he wanted to be prepared, know everything about the world, the story, and everything that goes on in that. And so, after waiting and waiting and waiting, he finally does get his wish, and he does end up being reincarnated. But the only issue with being reincarnated was the fact that after he gets in there, he's like, this world doesn't have a system, so he starts checking off the worlds that don't have a system, that had a system, off his list. And then he starts thinking, time starts going by. When he turns 4, he starts living the life that he was good in. There's like funny moments to where, like, when he was like 4, he tried making soap, because you know how like in a lot of these like transmigration stories, they make something that from like the modern world, and then it blows up and becomes a big hit. However, soap already existed. uh Later on, we find out, he keeps checking off more and more possible stories. After a while, though, he finally realized that, once he got older, started, he found out who the ruler of the kingdom was and whatnot. It was a country he never heard of, a ruler he never heard of. Basically, all those memorization, all those stories, games, webtoons, basically none of that mattered anymore, because he was in a completely unknown world. He didn't know anything that was going on, any of the characters, basically a completely unknown world with an unknown power system. And so basically he just had to grow up, and over time, demons started invading, and heroes started appearing. So he finally figured out, right? He's like, if I can't guess a story, I want to at least try to guess the genre. And so he thought it was supposed to be like a proper RPG hero story. And so after going to war, cleaning him up after the hero, becoming a part of this like annihilation unit, um, after a long, long time of serving his country and doing all this stuff, the Demon King ends up dying, being killed by the heroes. However, usually when the heroes kill the Demon King is when this like RPG story type trope would end. However, it doesn't. His mother ends up dying. His father died when he was younger. That's what made him enlist in the first place. He ends up establishing like an orphanage and taking in children who were orphaned by the war. Basically just biding his time, because he's like, the ending credits are nowhere to be seen. He's like, in a typical RPG story, this is where it would end. So why is it not ending? And so, he basically is just running this orphanage, and it's driving him crazy every day. He's like, it's been 4 days. When is it going to end? When is it going to end? However, one of his old subordinates comes and basically tells him, hey, the children of these heroes are basically entering this academy, and basically your job is going to be make sure they graduate without being harmed. And that's when it clicks. It's actually an academy story. And basically all those 30 years he spent from his childhood to adult life now was just the prologue. And it is now getting to the actual story, it being the academy story, in which he's like, let's go see the ending. And he's, ready to get that academy life going. So it does seem like a pretty interesting theme, trope, comic, all the above. The art seems pretty decent. I mean, as you can see here, I like the main character's design because he's an adult. He has a full-on beard. We don't get a lot of these like bearded or like old people. He's like 30. Well, yeah, no, he's like 35 now, because of 30 years have passed. He reincarnated when he was like 4 or 5 in the body. Yeah, it's like 35 years old now. And his job is going to be, he's a war hero, retired, and his job is to now make sure these kids end up graduating the academy. Now, it does have a harem tag. I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, adult main character, academy, harem. They're going to instantly think, romantic harem. This is not a romance harem, there is no romance tag. He does not have any reciprocated feelings towards any of the like female students, essentially, because I assume like the reason why it's a harem, it's academy, there's going to be like female students that admire him. But I don't, since there is no romance tag, I would not automatically jump to the conclusion that he's having feelings towards these academy girls, right? I know a lot of people are going to go there. A lot of people are going to instantly see harem, academy, old man and think, oh, he likes kids. Like, no, like I would not, don't jump the gun on that, because this is not a romance harem. He does not have feelings towards these kids in a romantic type of way. Now, that doesn't mean he's not gonna like admire them, or like become like a protector, and feel like he wants to protect them and stuff like that. I don't. I'm just I don't know if that's going to happen, but I can for sure say that it is not a romance harem. At least based on what I've seen so far. So don't jump the gun. Will say give it a try, even if you do jump to that conclusion. Give it a try first before you start judging it, because I don't think it's going to be one where he has these feelings towards these little kids. No, I don't think it's going to be like that. I think at most he's going to feel like a sense of responsibility to protect them, keep them safe, and like care about them as like a caregiver or like protector should. I don't think it'll go anywhere beyond that though. But yeah, that's pretty much all I want to talk about today, because I saw this, it caught my eye. Yeah, it just sounded interesting to me. But that'll be it for this video. If you guys like, leave a sub, leave a like. I really do want to keep making these videos for you guys, continue to keep posting, growing this channel, because I really would love to do this for a living, where I just talk about the comics I love with people who love them just as much as I do. But that'll be it for this video. See you guys in the next one. Peace.